two handymen raped a mother and burnt her alive before taking a grinning selfie as they drove away from her blazing body. A court heard. Stephen Unwin and John McFall sent depraved social media messages to each other in the 3 weeks before they murdered Vietnamese nail technician Huyen Ngoc Quin. 28. After a 5-hour ordeal at Unwin's home, it was alleged. Jurors were told that on the night of the killing, McFall messaged Unwin asking, "Are we raping the sea?" The pair are alleged to have held Miss Wynne, also known by her English name of Anna, at the house, raped her, and then forced her to hand over PIN numbers to her bank cards. Prosecutor Jamie Hill, QC, told Newcastle Crown Court, the prosecution say that the motive for this killing was a combination of warped sexual fantasy and greed. Unwin, 40, and McFall, 51, were caught on CCTV leaving Unwin's home in Houghton Spring, Tyne, and Ware, with what prosecutors say is Miss Wynne's body wrapped in a white sheet. Unwin carried Miss Wynne, who stood less than 5 feet tall, over his shoulder while McFall pulled down the sheet to try to obscure her from security cameras that were attached to the house next door. It is alleged. They then bundled her into her black Audi A4 and drove her to dirt track where they allegedly doused her and the car in petrol and set it ablaze. Mr. Hill told the court, they took a selfie of themselves in the car. McFall is holding the phone and smiling into the phone as they are driving along. Their victim, the court heard, was likely still to have been alive when she was set ablaze on the back seat of her vehicle. Mr. Hill told jurors, it is clear she was unable to help herself by the time she was taken out of Unwin's house and driven to that lane. It is likely you will hear from a pathologist that the presence of certain gases in her body tend to suggest she was still briefly alive at the point the fire was started. The court heard Unwin and McFall worked on properties which Miss Wynne rented out and that she visited Unwin's home earlier in the evening of August 15. However, she was unaware that the pair had taken what prosecutors described as a depraved sexual interest in her. Mr. Hill said they had exchanged messages via text and social media about Miss Wynne. Unwin also asked McFall on August 9, "Do you want a Vietnamese?" Mr. Hill said, this was Unwin suggesting or offering a sexual encounter with the Vietnamese person. On the day they raped and killed her, the texts continued. Miss Wynne, a mother of 2, arrived in the UK from Vietnam in 2010 and moved into a home in Killingworth, North Tyneside. She lived with her sister and the pair opened a nail bar called Glitter Nails in Birdley, Tyne, and Ware. Mr. Hill said she had one of her children with her in the UK while the other was being looked after in Vietnam. He said, as well as helping run the nail salon, Miss Wynne had a part of her life which was largely kept secret. The police investigation revealed she had been involved in helping to rent flats to people who did not have the necessary immigration documents to live and work in the UK. In addition, police inquiry show some of the properties she rented were used for growing cannabis. It is through renting these properties that she came to meet the defendant Unwin in April of last year. Unwin told police that he and McFall were employed in repairing properties after the cannabis farms had been harvested. But the court was told the pair were actually stealing and selling the crops themselves. Unwin and McFall, who sat at opposite ends of the dock separated by custody officers, blamed each other for the rape and killing of Miss Wynne. Unwin's DNA was found on her body, but he claimed they had a consensual sexual relationship and had intercourse some days before her body was found. Unwin, of Houghton Spring, and McFall, of Blackpool, Lancs, both deny rape and murder, and the trial, expected to last 4 weeks, continues.
Tell me where the freak's at.